Yo, so I figured I'd make a part 2 about me narrowing these triple trees, because a big part of it is obviously the shaping and the finishing for getting them ready for chrome and such, and obviously going to have to do a lot more to get them ready for that, but there's also a big process that goes into making them ready for even me being able to keep finishing them, which is when you cut these in half, a lot of things don't match up and align correctly. So I'm gonna have to extend this a little bit, just add some metal there. I've already added some metal on the inside here. I'm gonna take a needle scaler to the bottom of these two, the inside of this one I mean, and make it look like more like of a casting. And then right here, I'm obviously not using these headlight mounting bracket holes because I welded in a headlight mount for this cool headlight. Anyways, I'm just gonna pump this in here, cut it off, weld it in, and then grind it over so it looks all smooth and finished. Do the same with there too. And then you can see here, I've already shaped the fork stops so they have more of a nicer contour so I can get access with the washer and the nut and the pinch bolts here. And kind of same thing on the bottom, just working on finishing all of my welds here. And yeah, I figured I'd just take you guys along for the rest of that process, so check it out. Also, here's a little bit of a closer look at this headlight mount. Just the regular tab that I welded on here. Kind of a hard to reach spot to weld, but I really love the way that it gives the headlight kind of like a recessed look in the bottom tree. I was thinking about running it upside down in the top tree, but I like this look way better anyways, so if you're thinking about doing this way, it just gives it a really cool recessed look. Ooh. Alright, so there everything is taken down. If you look closely here, you can see the spots where I've gone back in with some silicon bronze filler, and that's really the best way to go about filling in some of these little pits and stuff there, and that's obviously going to be, you know, a part of welding anything that you're trying to smooth. You're going to have to go back and make a few passes. So I'm going to have to make a few passes with some silicon bronze rod just to fill in a little bit of these pits, because remember, these are getting re-chromed. And other than that, it's looking pretty saucy so far. Don't mind my grinding marks, obviously, but yeah, it's looking pretty good. And this, I'm gonna have to do the same thing here. And as you can see where my seams are, I have just a little bit, if I can get it to focus, a little bit of undercut there where the heat is a little bit too much at the end of my weld. That's gonna happen on any TIG pass. And yeah, keep going through and make these look saucy. I don't know, my camera can't focus. Gosh darn, sorry to talk about this. So I want to level out this section here of the cut end with the rest of the flat top. So I cut this flat stock and I bent it up so it contours perfectly with how I'd like it to bend. All I have to do is cut it down a size more, weld it on there, and then get the shaping. Boom, alright, now you get a rough idea of what exactly I'm going for here. Now all that's really left to do is weld it and then a lot more shaping. So here's what we're working with now, and now that all of this is welded up, I'm gonna have to shape this obviously some more, take it down, and then blend it all together so it looks pretty cast, I guess you could say. But yeah, I'm really happy with the way it looks so far. Yeah. Cool, so here's where we're at now, and it's gonna look really, really ugly before it looks really, really clean, and that's just the stages of making something look really nice and smooth. So as you can see here, the front is looking pretty decent, the top's looking decent, and again I'm going to plug this one hole here just in the same way I did those. You can see the silicon bronze there, but on the back side here, it's shaping up to look exactly how I envisioned it, so that's very cool. And some more silicon bronze in there, some more blending, and we should be ready for a needle scaler to texture this. Alright, what you can see I'm doing here is, if we get in close, I'm just going back in with some silicon bronze filler rod, some really small TIG welds here, and just welding over any imperfections and such things like that, because these are going to be chrome, so they have to be perfectly metal finished. That's basically the point of the silicon bronze. And like I said, it's gonna look ugly before it looks better, so part of the process. So I've got most of the silicon bronze here taken down, and as you can see, I'm using some tooling here like this Dremel tool with the flapper attachment to carve in kind of like a shelf here, just a little accent that makes it look a little bit cooler on the side, look a little more flowy. So that's what I'm working on now, just trying to shape that up. And it's just words that form sentences and have meaning. Anyway, sorry, sometimes this stuff can kind of make your brain melt a little bit. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. Yo, what's up, internet? This is how I make these handlebars. So first things first, start off with some raw tubing. And then measure it to where I want it, and then off to the miter so I can cut these pieces all up. Then after I miter them, I just make sure that all of my cuts are nice and square before I start to go any further. And then what I'm doing here is I'm processing all of the pieces before I even start to weld them together. It's just way easier this way. As you can see, it's nice and smooth, and of course that also means giving a nice round bevel to each of my corners, get good penetration on those welds. Then after all the pieces are processed, I'm just going to come back again and give them a nice little smooth so it can save me some time after I finish welding these bad Larrys. And once again, I tack these pieces up, and after the tacks, just still making sure everything is square because that's super importante. And another big important thing too is making sure the angle of the pullback is correct. So you can see I got the same angle here. The bars are looking sauced up, ready for finish welding. But before that, I'm just going to inspect them, make sure everything looks kosher. And then bada bing, bada boom, let's hit them with some nice passes on the TIG torch there. But we're going to blend all those welds away, and this is what you're left with. Rinse, repeat, do it again. I'm thinking about selling these, so let me know in the comments if you want one. Alright, so I'm back at it with the triple trees that I narrowed, the later hydra-glide triple trees. I got them stripped of all the chrome. You can see some of my silicon bronze here from where I filled some stuff in. Anyways, today's adventure is going to be welding in some solid riser bushings here. They had these really disgusting, ugly ones that were pressed in there originally when they made them from the factory. I didn't want to do any other riser bushings, and they are hydra-glide after all, and the early hydra-glides had just solid holes in there, so I machined these little slugs, and they just fit right in there, and I'm going to weld them around, and those are going to be my riser bushings. And these are really simple. They're just rolled steel. Turned them up on the lathe. Came out really nice, so should be a super simple weld. Alright, that's much better. Now, to clean them up a little bit, and smooth it on out, prep it for chrome, re-chrome I mean. And here we are back at it with the lower tree here. I've got everything all smoothed out and blasted over with just some DA, and then I'm gonna end up taking everything up to 2000 and then polishing them, and then that's the final prep for re-chrome. Holy good gabagool. This took a while, but we made it. We made it to the point of polish. They are officially ready to be chromed once again. And, I mean, yeah, it's just polish here. They look phenomenal. I wish I could just keep them polished, but I have to get them chromed once again. And I only do this, I only do all the polishing and prep work, so I don't have to pay the chromer all the money to do it. So the more prep work I can do myself and do it well, the less money I'll have to fork over for the chrome bill. But anyways, we got it done. We got it done. They look awesome. I'm incredibly happy with the way that they came out. My brain's a little fried. You can see the bottom of the riser bushings there, how I, rounded those bad Larrys out too. But, all right, let me show you more.